Hello fellow coders. Today, in this video, I will share some common job interview question for object-oriented programming. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Number 1. What is OOP? OOP is otherwise known as object-oriented programming as a programming technique that employs objects rather than just function and procedures. In contrast to procedural programming, built around the idea that programs are sequences of instruction to be executed. The idea here is that like how we manipulate object in the real world, we use our hands and use object behaviors to solve problems. Example here is a problem of cooking food. We create fire by probably using stove. We know how an object of fire behaves. It provides heat and light. We also know how meat behaves under heat. It gets cooked. We approach the problem by identifying the involved objects fire and meat and use the necessary behaviors and relation of fire and meat to solve our problem of cooking food. Why OOP is important? Because it is very useful in software development such cases. 1. Simplifies complex problem. 2. Code readability, divides code into smaller chunks. 3. Reduces code redundancy. 4. Provides ability to bind data and code together. 5. Allows in keeping sensitive data confidential through encapsulation. 6. Polymorphism gives flexibility to the programs by allowing entities to have multiple form. To explain number 1, here, we are thinking in terms of object and how it is handled and interacts with other objects. Number 2 and 3, on our cooking problem example is simplified by our problem is confined in two objects fire and meat. Number 4, although data binding is new with MVVM paradigm, it always at OOP is needed feature for data binding. Number 5, one pillars of OOP is encapsulation. Access to attributes or methods can be restricted. Number 6, this allows object to behave differently. What is the difference between class and object? 1. Class is a template of an object. 2. It is a data type of the object. 3. Inside it are variables, constants, methods and/or another class. 4. It doesn't consume memory. Object is 1. An instance of a class. 2. Allows access to variable, methods and classes declared in a class. 3. Objects require memory, heap or dynamic. What is the difference of inheritance and polymorphism? In inheritance, 1. A child class inherits feature of parent class. This is like how someone gets their parents' family name. 2. Using the structure and behavior of parents. This is like how one was raised by their parents, probably they'll have same attributes and behavior. 3. Applied to classes. Since again class is the template contains the genes of the object like how someone contains the gene of their parents. 4. Supports code reuse. Like how animals reproduce to create improved versions of their species. In polymorphism, 1. Object exists in multiple form. This is like how someone can be anyone when they grow up. 2. Intend to change behavior of parent class. Like how probably a school corrects unwanted behavior a child got from his or her guardians thus become another type of person. 3. Applies to methods or behaviors. 4. Adds another form to object. Like if someone starts to be able to breathe underwater, you would probably abstracted his or her as a fishman. What is encapsulation? Is the process of hiding data members and methods of a program together to do a specific job. Without revealing unnecessary details, this is hiding the inner complexities of the object. What is abstraction? Abstraction is the method of hiding unnecessary details from the necessary ones. We treat it as how we model real-life objects. It is the main feature of OOPs. Example is how to drive a car. Different manufacturers have notion as to what components are needed for a car to run. Despite all of that, all you have to know is that a gas pedal should accelerate the car, brake pedal to slow it down and wheel to steer it. Can we instantiate an abstract class? No. Since abstract classes are incomplete. It has no implementation on its method. However, you can extend to the abstract classes. This means you need to implement the abstract methods and those derived classes can be instantiated. Can we inherit the constructor of the base class? No, since as to definition of constructor, it should be same as the class name. It is important to remember that the constructor of base class is called in the constructor of derived class when derived class is instantiated. What is the difference of interface from abstract classes? 1. Abstract classes contain abstract methods and as well as non-abstract methods. 2. Abstract classes have attributes. 3. Subclass of a class that inherits from an abstract class. The abstract methods are not required to be implemented in the subclass. 4. A class can only extend to one class, abstract or not. 5. Interfaces contains only methods that require implementation. 6. Interface don't have attributes. 7. A class can implement multiple interface. 8. Interface can inherit another interface. 9. Any class implementing an interface that inherit another interface needs to implement all the methods declared in the interface involved in the inheritance. What is constructor chaining? Constructor chaining is the process of calling one constructor from another constructor with respect to current object. One of the main use of constructor chaining is to avoid duplicate codes while having multiple constructor, by means of constructor overloading, and make code more readable. In the code snippet, the output is 75, 5 and then, the default constructor. Rules of constructor chaining. 1. The this expression should always be the first line of the constructor. 2. There should be at least be one constructor without the this keyword, otherwise it will create a non-ending recursion that overflows the call stack. 3. Constructor chaining can be achieved in any order. What is singleton class? Singleton is a design pattern in which any new instance of an object point to same object in memory. A singleton class can only have one instance at a time. Abstraction versus encapsulation. Abstraction hides external complexity while encapsulation hides internal complexity. Abstraction. For car to run you only need steering, gas pedal and brake pedal, that is all you have to know to drive. Encapsulation. How steering, gas and brake works beneath your car is hidden. In which if ever you need fixing, you go to car shop in which mechanics know the hidden complexity of your car. What is constructor and destructor? Constructor is a method to instantiate an object. It is used to allocate space for the object in the heap. Destructor is a method called to free the memory used by the object before it is destroyed. What is composition? 1. Is a way to implement the has a relationship. 2. An object is composed of smaller objects. 3. Which means there is an object needed to create the object. What you deem necessary component or not depends on your level of abstraction, model. 4. Composition is a strong aggregation, which means the component object is required. Note: for car to run, it should have an engine. What is aggregation? 1. Aggregation is a relatively weak association. 2. Sometimes, these parts are not necessary. 3. Note: to drive a car, it should have a driver. But a passenger is unnecessary for driving a car. Copy constructor versus assignment. Copy constructor create a new instance of an object. This allocates a new space in heap. A new pointer pointing to new object in heap is created. Assignment operator just points to similar location of object in heap. This means no new space is allocated. It's just another pointer is created pointing to same object. What is exception handling? 1. Exception is an event during execution of a program at runtime and causes the execution to be halt. 2. Depends on how it is handled, a program can crash. 3. Identifying the undesirable state of a program that it can reach and specifying the desirable outcomes for each state. 4. This is attributed to try-catch statements. What is coupling and cohesion in OOP? Coupling is the degree of interdependence between software modules. Cohesion refers to the degree to which the elements inside a module belong together. Why they are important? Good OO design should be loosely connected and very coherent in general. The goal is loose coupling and high cohesiveness. This is to achieve maintainable, scalable and readable codes. 18. Explain overloading and overriding. Overloading means two or more methods in a class have same name but different signature. Overriding is changing the implementation of an inherited method by the subclass. 19. Can you override the constructor? No, you cannot override it. However, you can overload it. 20. What are the limitations of OOPs? 1. OOP tends to complicate small problems. 2. Takes more time to solve problem. 3. Requires intensive testing. Bugs can also be inherited. 4. Requires proper planning. 5. Programmer thinks in terms of object. Thank you for watching and happy coding. See you on the next tutorial.